And also, if the Sixers stay healthy,
That's such a question mark, though, bro. I can't even buy into that one.
Embiid,
Again, because on paper, even last year, like we didn't know PG would, but then PG came out on his pod, and you remember he was saying like he had issues all season, like he had an abductor, I think an abductor tear, was it? Yeah, and and ultimately that was the reason why that he, like, although he was healthy and playing, he wasn't playing to his best strengths because he was like overcompensating in different areas because he had this tear. You know what I mean? So he wasn't as potent as he could have been. Yeah. So I don't know. Just overall, that's it. And especially with the Joel Embiid, like sitting out back to backs forever now. Oh, I just think like, bro.
Nah, yeah, his career's over, man.
I don't know.
His career's over.
The only bright spot about the Sixers going forward is that third pick they got in this draft.
You also have
you got McCain, you got Tyrese, and you got that third pick who is probably going to be Ace Bailey.
Ace Bailey.
So you need to focus on that because the process, hate to break it to you Sixers fans, did not work. It's not going to work. It's not going to work.
I think the Sixers just need to get back to the drawing board and restart the process.
That's what I'm saying. That's what
package I'm saying. And beat out.
And you have a good, like you have a good mix of young guys now.
Amazing mix.
You have that. Mix. Just I mean, clear your cap space. You know what I mean? Get a haul for Joel. Get a haul because somebody will overpay you for Joel. 100%. You know what I mean? But come on, like
just in terms of Embiid's value, though, man, it's not the same as he may be able. The Sixers may be able to get maybe 2 first-round picks, and then maybe a couple of players to match the salary. Same with Paul George.
Man, you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. People might be desperate. Take a shot in the dark.
Is it still Durrel Moose that's the GM over there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's gonna want a lot for him. Yeah. You might find a team desperate enough, but either way, recoup value for him. Recoup value for PG.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
You have to
start with those young players.
Yeah, you have to, man.
I mean, Tyrese Maxey was the 6th highest leading scorer in the league, 27 points a game. This guy's dying.
That boy's nice.
He comes through in the playoffs
that boy's
too.
Nice. He'd been given up to
Jared McCain was en route to be rookie of the year, but then he got hurt.
Yeah.
So Ace Bailey now, bro. Come on. That's a good 3 to build around.
However,
some young talent.
I believe Ace Bailey. So based on some of the reports that I read out there, he had a terrible draft. Draft
combine.
Yeah, draft combine.
Still.
So apparently he was listed. So they stated that he was 6'9", 6'10". Draft combine, he was 6'7". So obviously,
how does that even happen, bro?
Dude, I'm just wait, hold up. So this guy's a full 3 inches shorter than what was claimed. Cause
how do things like this happen? I wonder.
Which is crazy. Cause he was taking some really ill-advised shots in college. As a 6'10" guy taking those contested shots, okay, he has the length to at least get those shots over top of guys.
Yeah.
But that 6'7" guy taking those shots, and I was like, all right, cool. Those are terrible shots, and get enough elevation to get over top of those guys. And apparently, he did not have the highest vertical the vertical leap. So I believe his was 34 inches. So it was and he was amazing talent. However, one of the knock was his IQ, his shot selection. If he's able to clean that up, he'll be an amazing player. Amazing player because he has all the physical tools just in terms of length. Obviously, 6'7" as a guard is still a pretty much pretty decent size. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's good 2-3 height. Even you could play a small ball forward with that. And the league is transitioning away from they're more positionless basketball anyway at this point, right? If you could shoot, if you could defend, bro.
Yeah,
that's that. That's the new NBA. That's the new NBA. So Cooper Flag obviously is going to be that number 1 pick. Easily. We know that the Mavs lucked out. Do you think there's any chance that either Dylan Harper or Ace Bailey slip to 4, 5? Any chance? Any one of those 2 slip? Or you think they're for sure the
slip to 4 or 5? I don't believe so, man. Because just based on the talent alone, Cooper's number 1, Dylan Harper definitely number 2. I think Ace might be the one that slipped to 4 or 5, and then VJ might jump to 3, and then Ace drop. Because I really like VJ's game, man. He reminds me a lot of Ant. Love his game. He extremely athletic. Even his jumper kind of resembles Ant's jumper a little bit. So for me, the only player that I think may drop might be Ace Bailey. But Harper, and Coop. That's pretty much it. Number one is just solidified, and I don't think much drop.
Yeah.
And then I think it's the Hornets that's number 4, right?
Hornets 4, Jazz 5, Wizards 6.
So Hornets might get either VJ or Ace, but they don't really need Ace though. Because they already have the likes of
like Brandon
Miller. Similar game style.
Yeah.
And I like right now in this present time, I like Miller's game way more than I do Ace Bailey's game.
Mm-hmm.
Miller's game is beautiful to watch, man. He kind of resembles it's crazy. Paul George. When you watch him,
like
his
an
game,
MDPG though.
It's crazy how his game is so similar to Paul George. He's is he like 6'8", 6'9", can handle the rock, can shoot that thing. Really good defender.
NBA GOAT.
You know what I'm
it's
saying?
His GOAT.
Yeah. He used to be my GOAT too. Funny enough, though, when I was playing ball back in the day, I tried to emulate my Paul George jumper. I wanted my jumper to look like his jumper because
it's so smooth.
So smooth, man. But nah, man. But over the time, man, my guy's never on the court, man. He's always hurt.
Mm-hmm.
He's always hurt, But I do understand how he is this new gen's GOAT, just in terms of size, handle, shot. Smooth, smooth, man.
Yeah, because PG's the type of guy that this newer generation would have looked up to, like especially the early days, indie days, because he really came into the league with a bang. Before you know it, he was facing Braun and all that in the playoffs.
He was giving Braun the work. He was
giving Braun problems. You know what I mean? So yeah, you can see why his kind of early career legacy, if you will, or early career successes would bring a lot of these younger guys to like a guy like PG. And we obviously knew about him and knew how great he was. But the younger guys, like when that's some of the first high level basketball that you're seeing, and a guy so dominant like PG, it's amazing. And shout out to PG. Like I think he's still a very capable player. I just think now with all the injuries and with all of the, I don't know. Do you think his headspace is really where it should be? There's like sometimes I see some things like on and off the court, and like do you think the podcast has anything to do with it?
To be honest, I'm not the one to say whatever, affects someone's psyche or if it does or it doesn't. But because everyone has their own outlet, and just in terms of how they cope with things, maybe the podcast is a way for him to actually, be free and just express himself. To put in perspective, a lot of people have issues expressing themselves, right? So the fact that he has a podcast where he can truly be transparent and open, maybe that's exactly what he needs instead of just keeping everything bottled in.
For sure.
So for me, it's maybe for you, it could be a detriment. However, maybe for him, that's what he needs to actually be free.
For sure.
Right. So, because like if you go to therapy, the one thing that they always express is like be free and express yourself.
Yeah.
He's being free and express himself, and now we're telling him not to express himself.
Yeah.
So then what? But I think time and place, stay focused, and then there's certain things that I would say don't share with the masses and with the public, especially. I believe there was an internal team dispute that they had in the locker room there that he came out and shared in the podcast, and that made it public. Obviously, that's going to cause turmoil within the locker room. So, like stuff like that, I say don't share. But, dude, have your podcast, man.
Yeah.
How many players in the league currently have a podcast? Bro, Jalen Brunson has a podcast, and he's in the NBA conference finals right now. No one's talking smack about it.
Yeah,
it's only a problem if you're not performing. But when you're performing, you can do whatever the hell it is that you want to do.
I know, it's so true. It's so true. Nobody had anything to say about Michael Jordan's issues when he was performing and balling the way he did, even though he had problems where if he was losing, people would have blamed 100%. That. They would have pointed at it and blamed it. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's an outlet. And like you said, it's a way that he can express himself. And the thing is what do we expect for players to do, right? Do we expect them to be in the gym all the time? Because you see guys like comments and all these type of things and on all these platforms that are like, oh, get back in the gym, like you're underperforming. It's like, man, like guys got to come home and rest too.
Bro, my guy has a life outside of ball,
Yeah, come on. He has a whole life, so it's crazy. So maybe a better question for you then. Do you think that, like you said, oversharing at certain instances in Podcast P, do you think that's led to any like rifts in relationships with him and some of his other teammates on his team?
Definitely. I definitely believe that some of the oversharing definitely caused some turmoil between him and some of the players, for sure. Because obviously, if you're sharing, internal discussions to the public, something that was never meant to be public,
Right.
now, especially if something that I said to you in confident, and then now you're sharing now, bro, I'm gonna be cheese at you. So then
course.
now our chemistry in the court is obviously going to show. It's going to show that I'll be making some ill-advised plays just because I'm not passing you the ball, I'm looking you off, or vice versa. You're looking me off. So now the team is actually feeling it. So it's all a domino effect. So it does. You can have the podcast, however, just be mindful of the things that you say about your teammates.
For sure.
So keep it professional. You're still within your profession. So just keep it professional in that matter.
Yeah.
Maybe after the season, or even after your career, then you can start sharing some of those stories.
Right.
But the fact that you're sharing these stories while the season's still going on is actually kind of crazy.
Yeah.
It's so crazy to me.
Yeah, for sure. Like when I would listen to his pods and I would hear him share certain things, I always wonder, like, where is the line that they draw? And I guess right now, because this player podcast era, this current player podcast era is still such like a new thing.
Yeah.
I guess they're really trying to feel it out, and we're all trying to like understand, okay, what is the line that is drawn in the sand where like things that you say, things that you don't say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Off-season discussions are different. You could talk about your previous season, doesn't matter. Or the retired players, when they talk about it, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? But these things that are happening at that moment, like if you're struggling in a season and you're going over, like, obviously it's a hot issue, you want to discuss it.
Yeah.
But I think that you're right. You don't overshare, and you don't talk about specific instances that happened amongst players, amongst staff of your team, because it could, in my opinion as well, cause these rifts, because it could just take a small thing. You say something small about a guy, hey, you know what, he didn't come out and play his best. You know what I mean? He's like, yo, Podcast P, one of the biggest NBA podcasts on the planet, and he came and he was on his platform and he kind of shaded me a little bit. You know what I mean? You'd feel a type of way about that, like in some instances. So it's difficult. You know what I mean? But I also
think too, we're in an age where these players, they do not want the media to write their narrative. So for them,
of course.
So for them, they want to dictate every aspect of their narrative and every aspect of their story.
Yeah.
Right. So even with LeBron James, going on the Phil McAfee show, stating his piece about the Stephen A. Smith incident.
Yeah.
So is. Obviously, back in the day, it was like the media stated one thing, and that was it. The players had no way to right the wrong or even give their side of the story. So now the players are taking power into their own hand and telling their side of the story. Right. So this is what really freaking happened. So that y'all can stop speculating as to what happened. It's because obviously it's all about the storylines and the narrative, and that's what sells.
Yeah.
The NBA, it's all about the narrative that sells. About back in the day, how this player hates that player hates that player. So like, they're building that narrative. However, but that could have been not the narrative. That could have been just what the media wanted us to see, so that they could sell tickets, right? So I think we're just in a day and age now of player empowerment, which is why I believe these players all have their own podcast, just to get on the podium and just state their piece.
Yeah. Like put a positive spin on whatever
100%,
they're dealing
100%.
with, or shed their own light, on the situation.
Exactly.
And instead of having the media kind of narrate